Woohoo! Thank God it's Friday, right? Everybody wants to getting ready for the weekend. Mm, that will be nice. So, uh, yesterday I had something pretty tough happen in my family, and um, somebody, close to me did something that was not okay, and I think that it's going to harm their relationship with their family members, and so on. And hey, Christopher, and I mean, it was tough for me in a way because, I had lent them money and, other things like that had happened in the relationship, right? So I had lent them money for stuff and found out that, it wasn't what they had said. Um, and that, unlikely that I was going to get paid back anytime in the near future because of that. Hey, Lisa, good to see you. Hey, Christopher. Happy Friday. Yes. So, you know, this thing that had happened, but then they'd also done that something similar to a few other people in the family. And I know that they didn't mean it. I know that it wasn't on purpose. I know that they had thought, that um, they basically had gotten involved in a scam, right? They had gotten drawn in by a scam artist and gotten involved in a scam and thought, that they were going to be able to use this money and it was going to, the person was going to pay out all this money. And really, it's the simplest scam in the world, right? Where people say, oh, you've won this big prize and just pay us this and that, and, then we'll get you your money. And it's kind of crazy to me because like the scam has been going on forever, and I thought nobody's dumb enough to like fall for that. Um but obviously, some people are people who especially are maybe old and not very smart, and who not very educated, who are kind of cut off from a lot of that stuff, who have very sort of I say simple minded, right? They're not, very complex or suspicious. And so, an older member of my family got drawn into this scam and ended up and, thought that he was going to, be able to make a lot of money and, do this good stuff with it, and ended up, obviously, losing that and losing the money that he had borrowed from other people to do that. Um, Of course, this all came out yesterday. And, it's just, it's easy to be angry at the person saying, well, you lied and you got this money. And, in one person's case, he actually just, he took the money without even asking. I mean, of course, he was like, I'm going to pay it back. But, that was always his intent, probably pay it back with and more. But that wasn't the key, right? The thing was that he had taken it without asking, which is stealing, right? Got that framework right back there that tells us exactly what that is. And in some cases, he had taken it, he got people to give him money, but it wasn't telling them the truth about what that was for, right? And that in its own way is also deception, right? Which is stealing. And but at the same point, while he so I was upset, about this yesterday, but in many ways I was more upset because I felt like, what's going to happen here? This is going to ruin this person's relationships with their children and with other people in their life. It ruins their reputation. It's going to be a very difficult thing to live through and live down. And, understanding how somebody would feel very stupid and taken advantage of and violated, and, all of the things that this person I know is feeling, as well as having to deal with their own mistakes and what they've done and the people they've hurt and the relationships that they now have to rebuild. And, the anger and the distance, because once you break trust, then you never get that back. Sometimes you can earn back trust, and it might be a different type of trust, and it's different, but the landscape is never the same, right? And then people are always going to be like, well, did you really? And well, you're telling me that, but did you really? It's just it's never going to be the same. And you can work really hard and earn back a measure of trust through consistency in your actions, but it's never that trust, that first trust that's just given. So, there's a lot of stuff that's going on there. People in my family are very, very angry. And even though I was one of the people that probably lost, the most money, and fortunately for me, it's not that much. It's not like that I can't, it's not going to make a huge difference in my life, right? But I noticed that my reaction to it was very different than some other family members. And um, I was sitting there thinking about what is compassion? What is compassion? When I was young, and I was going through some really difficult things, and I would always quote the verse. The thing that got me through was quoting the verse, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, and to them that are called according to his purpose, right? So I knew that I loved God, so I just held on to that verse with all my might, believing that whatever suffering I was going through that moment when I was a child or a teenager, that was going to somehow bring good in my life. And I remember oftentimes the only thing I could think of in the moment. So I would start thinking ahead and thinking, what good might this bring? What good might this bring? And this is actually a psychological technique, which I didn't know that I was using. I was creating it and using it on my own. And oftentimes the only thing I could think of in the midst of my sadness and misery was, well, this is going to give me compassion. This will give me compassion to understand how other people feel or how other people might be suffering or going through something. And um, it got me to think about what is compassion, because compassion isn't, um, you know, love, right? Love is the the Bible says love is, well, I don't know if the Bible says that. I don't think it, it says love covers a multitude of sins, right? A lot of people say love is blind. Okay. Hey Harshita. Hey Mike. You guys missed the beginning when I was telling the story, so you have to go back and watch it. Um, but so that I got me thinking, what is compassion, right? Compassion is not seeing the issue, not seeing what the person did wrong, not seeing the faults. You see them, but it is an understanding. It is seeing deeper into it and understanding, um, what are the layers? Where is this coming from? It's seeing beyond this current violation, right? The theft or the thing that person did wrong, lying, whatever that is, right? And seeing beyond that and seeing, where did this come from? How was this created? How did this happen? How could somebody do something like that? And understanding well, this person is very isolated. They don't have a lot of people to talk to. They might be lonely. They're old. They're uneducated. They live on the knife edge of poverty all the time. And so, what are things where this person might take actions that we know are wrong, right? But it's not coming from a wrong place. It's not coming from a bad place, not a bad person, and seeing how this could happen, I guess. And having a measure of compassion, sympathy, understanding for it, which is really just an understanding for how these things happen, how things happen and come full circle. All right. And then so that's it got me thinking about what is that quality, right? What is that quality of compassion? And it's understanding. It is looking deeper into the thing and not just seeing the surface of the thing, but seeing all of the things that came before, right? When someone is really messing up and destroying themselves or being a bad person, going beyond that and saying, what happened to them? How did they get this way? Right? And having a measure of understanding doesn't mean it justifies their actions, doesn't mean that what they did is okay, but you can approach it differently. And I think you can approach it without the hate, without the extreme anger, right? Because when someone does something that's violating or they steal from you or something like that, that just such anger can come up, right? Or they do it to somebody else even. Um, and but when you can see into it, into the action, into motives, into what's behind it, it doesn't change the fact. It doesn't change the fact that that person did a violation. It doesn't change the fact that they need to make restitution. That it's going to be their responsibility to figure out how to make things right. But you don't have to add to that burden with anger and hatred, and you don't have to add to that burden in your own heart with anger and hatred, right? Because like when I see another member of my family, how he's dealing with it, there's just so much anger and hatred and just like scary things this person is saying that's coming out of. I don't even know how this person can hold so much anger and hatred inside of them and not destroy themselves, right? Because when we are holding on to anger and hatred, it's we can be lashing out and trying to hurt the other person, but really the person that's really hurting is ourselves. That's what is really hurting. We're really hurting, um, you know, just carrying all that negative emotion, right? Just even thinking about it, even reading, this person's text messages with all of this hatred towards this other member of my family in my family who did this. It's just it makes me feel so horrible inside, and it makes me feel so bad for them because they have so much. I mean, and it's not saying that there wasn't something wrong done, right? It's just that anger and hatred is so intense. I just can't even imagine. It's like holding acid in your body, right? It's gonna eat at you, and just destroy your relationships, destroy your love, destroy like all of the good that you hold inside of. I mean, it's definitely not emotions of happiness or peace or love or joy, right? It's just such negative emotions. And and that's what compassion does for us. Compassion allows us to let go of that type of intensity of negative emotion, even when other people do bad things. It allows us to let go of that, and not hold on to that. They say that forgiveness is for yourself, not for the other person, right? When you forgive somebody, it's you letting go of it. It's you letting go of the anger. It's you letting go of the pain. It really has nothing to do with the other person. It's about you emptying out that negativity from your cup so it doesn't continue to corrode and eat at you from the inside, right? That's what compassion is like when you say, okay, I understand how somebody could get to this point. I can see past their current action and see, it doesn't make it right. Maybe it's not what someone should have done, but I can see, and I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for them that this is the position they've now put themselves in, and they've got a long road to get back, and that's going to be a tough road. And I feel compassion for that. I feel compassion for the pain that they feel, and the fact that they feel stupid, and the regretful and sorrowful for the hurt that they've caused, and the trust that they've damaged. I know that this person feels this way because he's not a bad and have bad intentions, right? So, um, anyway, that's just a little bit about what compassion is and helps, and how, because I was thinking about it for myself, like, how was I reacting very differently than other people were reacting to this? And what was really hurting my heart? Because I was really upset yesterday. And I was saying, what's really hurting my heart? What is this that's making me so upset? And it wasn't the money. And it wasn't like even, I was a bit upset about that for like a minute, but really I was upset for the person because I saw like how they'd worked so hard for years to create good relationships and repair relationships. And, um, and then by doing this, they've destroyed so much of that trust in a moment, and I felt bad for them. Like, instead of being, upset for myself, or being upset, that I was kind of, I guess, lied to or taken advantage of. I feel bad for them because what they are going to have to come back from is so much harder. For me, it's, a bit of money, and that is what it is. Um, and, also in my relationship with that person, right? I know that there's trust that was violated. So that's gonna be hard for them, not me. And I feel compassion for that. Anyway, yes, Harshita says it happens. It does, it happens, right? And so, is there a place where we can stand, where we can look at people with understanding, even when they're doing something that is not right, not okay? And, of course, it's easier if they really feel bad and regretful, which this person does, and they really can see and admit that what they did was wrong, and that then that definitely helps, right? It definitely helps. But even so, just on a larger scale, that's one thing that reading Alice Miller's books, she's a psychologist. She wrote some amazing books. She's passed away now, but her books are really good about helping you to understand what could be going on in people's minds, in what's happened to people, what makes people like the type of personality traits and the type of psychoses and stuff that make people who they are. And that can give us compassion, even at the same time, while not allowing that violation to be okay, while recognizing that that person needs to make restitution for that violation. We're not gonna, um, it's not about beating them up. It's not about punishment. It's about fixing it, right? So, anyway, that's what I was going to talk about today. Thank you for joining, Harshita. Thank you for hanging out. I hope you have a beautiful, amazing day. And yay, the weekend is coming. Woohoo! Weekend is coming. Her name? Whose name? Mm. I'm not telling the names of the family members who were involved with this because, that's their privacy. But I'm just kind of describing what happened and what was like upsetting me yesterday. So, and then what I've kind of, what kind of it brought up for me to listen to, think about, and learn about. So I hope you guys have an amazing, beautiful day, and get everything done so that you can rock out and have some fun on the weekend. I've got work to do on the weekend because there's a conference coming to town that I'm going to go be part of to check out. So not going to be too relaxing a weekend for me, but you know what? We do what we got to do. All right. The author. Her name is Alice Miller. She wrote a book called The Drama of the Gifted Child. And she wrote a whole series of books like The Body Doesn't Lie and The Truth Shall Set You Free. She wrote a whole bunch of books. The first one I read was called The Drama of the Gifted Child. Yeah. And she actually goes into history and talks about some major political characters like Hitler and other people like that, goes into their childhood and describes and explains what happened to them and how that can create people like that, with that type of like severe psychological issues. So she's a very interesting writer. Anyway, I hope you guys all have a great week, and I will see you tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow, probably not at 10 a.m., sometime later in the day. I will try to do it maybe around noon, but have a great day.